purpose of doing this work is to open us more to the idea that the universe may be vastly more interesting, containing entities, energies, beings that we did not know it existed. And when we open that consciousness, the reason I call this passport to the cosmos is that then we open to a larger reality. We're not simply sort of earthbound in our consciousness as if we were the top intelligence in the cosmos. We've come more modestly to realize we're in connection with energies, beings, whatever it may be, that is beyond ourselves. And that would be a very healthy development for this species.
The Harvard University Medical School is embracing little grey men. Little grey men from outer space who actually abduct humans.
After I'd worked with 40 or 50 of these individuals, I discovered to my amazement that there simply was no psychiatric explanation of this, that something real had happened to them.
Dr. John Mack is Professor of Psychiatry at the Harvard Medical School. Professor Mack has spent the last few years listening to some people with very strange stories.
As said before, the people, when examined, are not psychiatrically disturbed. So the only thing that behaves like that is real experience.
Yeah, you say that it's trauma, that it's trauma.
It's traumatic. Not, yeah. Real experiences are the only thing that occurs like that. Psychosis isn't like that. Madness is not like that. Dreams are not like that. Fantasy is not like that. Now, if these are real experiences, what is going on? What's the source of these experiences?
That's the question. What's going on?
Betty and Barney Hill story is very interesting, but there's no real evidence other than their testimony. Is that correct?
Well, it's their credibility. Why would they want to bring this into their lives? And if you hear the tapes of Ben Simon's interviews with them under hypnosis, the screaming, and he was just so frightened.
I got to get my gun. All right, that's all.
Doesn't she come off as
she does.
Someone who is extremely credible?
She does.
The rooms were pie-shaped, like a piece of pie.
Oh, that makes sense if it was a round crab.
So does Barney. Betty and Barney Hill. They're an interesting couple because they were an interracial couple. So they were dealing with all sorts of pressure. This was during the Civil Rights Movement, and they were, they were pretty. It was not what you would expect for people that were calling out and trying to get attention, and the way. The way they described this, it resonated with people.
Well, he was having nightmares and rashes, and they had to come to some medical conclusion about it. And they
also
consulted
extremely
a friend.
Consistent. The story was extremely consistent.
It was, and they consulted a friend at the Air Force, who they knew, and they came to Ben Simon.
Well, I can simplify the whole thing by saying that Barney and Betty gave the same story. And that story was precisely like the story that had been written up by the NICAP investigator. There were no significant differences, in fact, practically no differences between the three. This story they each gave consciously. First, I want to say, I believe the implicity and the honesty of these people, and still do. Barney and Boris and Ted.
What did you personally think? Did you think that they were hallucinating at this time?
Well, it depends on what you mean. There were certainly but not psychotic hallucinations. And up until Betty's story, I took it as a clear relation to things that had happened. However, there I was. I believed in their honesty. This story was fantastic and unreal, and either had to be rejected or accepted.
No, it's a fascinating story. It's just in a way, as again, it's very, very, very entertaining.
Just a light moving through the sky, and I heard no noise. I can't hear any sound.
No sound, whatever.
I want to hear a jet. Oh, I want to hear a jet so badly. And without looking as if it turned, it would come straight back. It would go like I think of a paddle and a ball with a rubber. And you hit the ball, and the ball goes straight out and comes straight back. And I can see it tilted toward me.
Tilted? What does it look like now when you say tilted? Did you see wings?
It looks like a big pancake with windows and rows of windows and lights of not light, just one huge light. And
rows of windows like a commercial plane?
Rows of windows. They're not like a commercial plane because they curve around to the size of this pancake.
Barney did in World War II. He knew planes, and he's trying to identify this. And it's flying in a very erratic manner, which was very puzzling to us. But this is 61. We'd heard UFO. Well, actually, in those days, they called them flying saucers. We had no idea what a flying saucer looked like. At that point, it left the top of the mountain, came out over the highway, and stopped in midair directly in front of us, maybe about 50 feet in the sky. So Barney got out with the binoculars in an attempt to identify the craft.
I let my binoculars fall and dangle from my neck, and then start over again. Maybe it won't be there, but it is.
And when he looked up, he saw a circular window with a bright light behind it, and he saw these men standing behind the window looking down at him.
I know what's in my mind, and I don't want to say it.
Well, you can say it to me. You can say it now.
They're men. All with black jackets. Looks like a German Nazi.
He is a Nazi. Did he have on a uniform?
Yes.
What kind of uniform?
Black.
How could you see these figures so clearly at that distance?
I was looking at him with binoculars.
Oh.
And at that point, the craft began to descend, and he became frightened. Ran back to the car, saying he thought they were trying to capture him.
She doesn't mind by telling me look, and I can't look. I have to drive the car. Is there an accident down the road? What's the red? Bright red.
Bright red?
Yeah.
What is that?
Orange and red.
Where is that?
Right down the road.
Down the road.
The men.
In the vehicle?
No, they're standing in the road.
There was these men standing in the highway. Then I thought, well, you know, are they in a car and the car broken down, or what are they doing there? And Barney sort of had to stop, and then he stops the car, and these men started to come up to the car. They separated. They came up in two groups. And when they started to do that, I got real scared.
They assisted me.
Okay, who assisted you?
These men.
They assisted you out of the car?
Yeah.
That's what you said?
I am going up a slight incline, and my feet are not bumping on the rocks.
They walk you into the craft up a ramp, the landed craft. This is right off Route 3.
Yeah.
But the last...
Right off Route 3.
So they walk you up this ramp. You're brought in, and what did they say they were going to do with you?
All we want to do is a simple test. And as soon as the tests are over, We'll take you back to your car and you'll be on your way.
I don't want to be operated on. You don't want to be operated on. What makes you think of an operation? I was thinking about this when I was lying on my stomach. They took me and carried me up this ramp. I was laying on the table and my fly was open and I thought, are they putting a cup around my private parts?
I asked him what he's going to do with it. And he said just a simple test to vulture me. And I asked him what. And he said he just wants to put it in my navel. It's just a simple test. And I don't know, it will hurt. Don't do it. Don't do it. And he said, no, it won't hurt. And he sticks a needle into my navel. And said, and I'm crying and I tell him it's hurting, take it out. I don't know why they put that long needle into my navel. I tried to tell him it was, they shouldn't do it.
Did they make any sexual advances to you?
No.
They didn't?
Nope. I asked the leader, I said, why did they stick the needle in my navel? And he said it was a pregnancy test. And I said, well, I don't know what they expected, but that was no pregnancy test here.
People called last night and asked about the stars that she identified in the early 60s and that none of the astronomers or scientists knew about until recently. Can you tell us that story?
In her abduction, let's put it that way, the leader, and she got quite friendly, and he told her to answer her questioning about where they were and where they came from. And he said, well, he would tell her where they came from if she would tell him where she came from. And so he pulled down a map, which had a bunch of stars in it, and showed it to her. And I asked her later to draw me that map. And what she drew was a map with a number of stars in it and a lot of lines, dotted lines and hard lines, one of which she said represented trade routes between the stars in the universe, and the other one represented, trade routes or expeditions. Well, she claims that one of those stars that she put on there has just recently been discovered. If that is true, of course, and if her map is valid, then the only thing she can claim is that she has precognition. I don't know how many of us are willing to accept that. You don't understand why people have precognition. It's sort of foretelling the future.
I had two stars on the map, and our astronomers had not found them yet.
When did they find those other stars?
1970.
1970. So in 1961.
So I had two stars on the map that we had not found yet.
Oh my! For
and
9
in 1970, we found them.
Zeta Reticuli is exactly the same place where Bob Lazar says they found those with the spaceships that they have at Area or S4.
Well, the Little Grays, Zeta Reticuli, Barney and Betty's Abduction. You had Marjorie Fish, an amateur astronomer. She took the memory of Betty's. Betty drew up the star map, and she did a three-dimensional scale model of that part of the universe, and was able to identify Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2, and accepted by astronomers. So that map that Betty saw aboard that ship had not been seen on Earth before.
And Betty has no history of astronomy, no studying it?
No.
Zeta 1 and Zeta 2 Reticuli. These two stars are very special. They're the closest to each other pair of sun-like stars in our entire local neighborhood. These two stars from each other are only 1/8 of a light year apart. That's 30 times closer to each other than we are to the next star over. We're out in the boonies. These guys got next door neighbors. And those two stars are at least 1 billion years older than the sun. 1 billion years. Now, the fact that they're so close means from a planet around one looking at the other, it's visible all day long. And with that billion years and that short distances, there's plenty of time and more incentive to develop interstellar travel a long time ago.
Everything that Barney had said, which was very little about that abduction, was in Betty's story. She saw it, she saw him being dragged away and all that.
How did it get to Barney?
I thought, how funny if I keep real quiet and real still, I won't be harmed, and it will be over, and him being guided. There is the car, and Dulcie is under the seat, and I reached under and touched her, and she is in a tight ball under the seat, and I sit back, and I see Betty is coming down the road.
I've been standing there on the side of the ramp talking to him, and they've taken Barney ahead while we were talking. So then he said, all right, now, come on, let's go back to the car.
And she gets into the car, and I am grinning at her, and she is grinning back at me, and we both seem so elated, and we are really happy, and I'm thinking it isn't too bad. How funny. I have no reason to fear.
I remembered about the moon being on the ground. Yes. And it was just like a big moon.
And we look, and I see a bright moon. And I laugh and say, well, there it goes. And I'm happy.
I guess important right off the bat is to ask you, do you believe these people?
Well, that's my job as a clinician, is to assess when people are talking about something, are they lying? Are they having some kind of delusion? Are they dreaming? And as far as one can tell, these people are talking about something the way a normal person talks about something that has happened to them, except for one problem, that according to our worldview, it's not possible.
You don't think after talking to these people that there is some rational, explainable mental condition or mental illness that they're suffering, some trend toward paranoia, toward fantasy, toward delusions?
That's right. There is not any evidence for that. In fact, we've done a study at our program where we compared 40 experiencers with 40 matched controls, and there was nothing in the experiencers that suggested mental illness, that they were disturbed in some way, or that there was something that could explain this phenomenon. It's an authentic mystery. We don't know.